We no listen to what them say. Let supreme love lead the way. To my Naga ancestors, bless I through me days. Whoa, and no matter where come my way, me still give thanks and praise. Let supreme love fill I in every way. Whoa, me Naga ancestors, them raise me up higher, and to them me give the glory. Radiant like the sun, passion burning like fire. This is me Naga story, and me find love. Whole and clean love flowing deep inside. Let supreme love be your guide. No, we no listen to what them say. Let supreme love lead the way. To my Naga ancestors, bless I through me days. Whoa, and no matter where come my way, me still give thanks and praise. Let supreme love fill I in every way. Whoa, in every way.
Aiko,
Aiko,
Mache,
Mache,
Wente Saint,
Mihoye na hone swing.
Aye, Datuo, Aquava. Yesi, Hunye.
Aye.
Kwatamani Henny, it's very real that there are so few elders who are left who are able and willing to bring forward a spirit-conscious message of intensity. Supreme thanks to the ancestors that you are one of them. Now, Nu had a question, and that question is, how is it that you have been able to survive this spiritual war?
Unquestionably, Nanu deserve an answer, as is the youth upon the planet. This is a circle of life that we're within, and we must begin to comprehend that those of us who are here have a divine duty, obligation, responsibility to perpetuate whole life energy so that those yet to come can carry the spirit of life, our essence, into the circle of life unseen. This keeps us in a vibration of moving from the unseen to the seen, to the unseen to the seen, whole and clean. The I and I have a divine duty, obligation, responsibility to stay within that circle of life. Either that or move outside of the circle of life and fall into the decadent state of toxic disorder. The I and I have chose to stay within the circle of life. And this is why the sacred ancestral spirit presence of the I is still present, not necessarily physically, not necessarily mentally, but spiritually and holistically. The divine duty, obligation, and responsibility that the I and I have to you, the youth, to that generation next and next and next, is to bring supreme truth whole and clean. Supreme truth is that there's absolutely no possibility of divine spirit conscious resurrection so long as man, he and she, is continuing to consume of dead, devitalized, and depleted energy. Once man, he and she, was reduced to a predatory mindset of hunting and herding and scavenging, immediately deterioration began, where sexual violation, violence, war, and crime became a way of life. The focus must be on consuming whole life energy. We are, by nature, plant-based consumers. And if we are plant-based consumers of fruit, vegetables, seeds, nuts, herbs, and spice, if we do not consume of those whole life energies of the first food chain of life, the primary food producers for all of living things upon the earth, then we will be reduced to a survival mentality. The survival mentality simply means that we struggle to go from day to day, seeking to satisfy that egotistical urge of self The individualistic vibration of I, me, my mind, and all that can come out of that every single time is a survival mentality. And it is a guarantee that that mentality is hell-bent on assuring that you, as a spiritual being, do not survive, because it is a spiritual war. And the nature of opposition intend to win the spiritual war. That means destroying your mental, physical, and spiritual essence and turning you into a clone-like being that cannot do anything but strive to survive another day. We are not about that.
High Priest Kwatamani, Nanu was explaining that she's read every one of your books, and each text is more impacting than the next. And it is for certain that this, Banu Book 3 in the series, Spiritual Analysis of Western Culture and the Reawakening of Naga Consciousness, is by far 9 times above all of the others. And your message just gets more and more intense. It would seem that these days, as individuals look around and acknowledge how much sickness and disease is rampant throughout Western culture, as individuals suffer their own personal experiences of disorder mentally, physically, and spiritually, and then look out at the environment, the pollution of air, water, and soil, not to mention how things are being made worse by the greenhouse effect, which is accelerating global warming, that they would realize that we need this comprehension and clarity that you bring forward in the message. What Nanu is asking is, why isn't it that more individuals, particularly the youth who have their entire future ahead of them, why they're not grasping and seeking this message?
Cultural genocide. That's right. Man, he and she has been beat, raped, tortured, enslaved, and otherwise convinced, persuaded, and coerced to adopt, assimilate, integrate into a way of life that opposes his and her natural and innate state of being as a child of the sun. Cultural genocide, the birthplace of spiritual suicide. And this mindset, which is born and produced to protect and to serve the nature of opposition of the culture that it is part and parcel of, has divided man, he, and she into bits and pieces and parts, where the female is reduced to a lower and lesser state of inferiority. And as such, the birthplace of all of man, he, and she is diminished, producing a lower and lesser productivity as we come upon this earth in a state of conflict, confusion, lust, lies, illusions, and death and deadly destruction is all that gets one's attention. It is very difficult to tune into holistic living truth. It's very difficult to even reason with a holistic living way of life, where we're talking about divine union, divine consumption, and the forward multiplication of divinity into every offspring and vibration. In fact, nothing else matters except self. Nothing matters except the I, me, my mind syndrome, and that serves the asserted will of the self. Therefore, to tune in to anything other than one's personal ego trip is a turnoff.
High Priest Kwatamani, certainly your message is so profound. And Nanu is explaining how it has been touching and moving to the point of turning her entire life around. But her question is very simple. Where do we go from here?
First and foremost, one must get one's reasoning correct regarding the attitudes, values, behaviors, and beliefs that have been adopted, assimilated, and integrated into one's mental consciousness, producing the individualistic self who seeks to control and dominate the life energy of another being. Thank goodness for a sacred few who have enough mother wit to know that we must focus on a greater presence of our being. We must focus on the spirit of higher consciousness. We must focus on higher peace. And in order for us to reach and achieve our goal and objective of divine spirit conscious resurrection, we address those sacred ones in these messages.
Oh, me Naga ancestors, them raise me up higher. And to them me give the glory, radiant like the sun, passion burning like fire.
The prophetic 12,594-year Banu cycle, encoding the consciousness of higher peace through the divine union of masculine and feminine energy, Book 3. Spiritual analysis of Western culture and the reawakening of Naga consciousness through the sacred ancestral spirit presence of High Priest Kwatamani.
Whoa, and no matter what come my way, me still give thanks and praise. Let supreme love fill I in every way.